In recent times, stories of violent killings are everywhere. Wives stabbing their husbands to death, friends killing each other, even children stabbing their mates. We read reports of mindless murders carried out by people who we thought were normal. Most disturbing, however, is the increasing incidence of cold-blooded murders by trained security personnel across the nation. It is very scary when soldiers start killing themselves. There is the need to examine these disturbing cases, which some medical experts have diagnosed as PTSD. What exactly is PTSD? Welcome to Break It Down, where we make matters of policies, societal issues, governance, and development easily understood by all. Now, what is PTSD? With me is Air Commodore Abayomi Balogun, a courageous retired fighter pilot and war veteran. He is also the founder of Green Heroes Foundation, a foundation set up to cater for Nigerian war veterans. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much.
We have talked a lot about PTSD in the past. And you even wrote a book about PTSD, specifically dedicated to PTSD, titled Nigerian War in Sierra Leone, From the Cockpit of Aggressor 08.
That's correct.
I'm sure you wrote this book from your own personal experience.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I read the book. Great book. I mean, and scary too. And I look at you and I'm like, is this the man who did us all those exploits?
Thank God.
Yeah. Today we're talking about PTSD.
Yes.
What exactly is PTSD, sir? Post-traumatic stress disorder.
Okay, thank you very much. You mentioned the book, which is the Nigerian Air War in Sierra Leone. The book actually is the prelude to was the prelude to the foundation. Because in the book, PTSD, or now you say we should break it down.
Yes, break it down.
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah.
Let's first take the first word, post. Post will be after. After what? After a traumatic experience. What did you experience? There were stressors, different kind of stressors. And then if you have illness, it becomes a disorder. So it's post because it was after you have experienced those things. And we call it post-traumatic stress disorders. So the book, as you mentioned, came after the events. We fought the wars in Liberia, we fought the wars in Sierra Leone, which I was part of. And when we came back, yes, we the officers could look after ourselves, but the men, the soldiers, have little resources to do that. And when we saw them after the wars, after the stresses, after the traumatic experiences, we saw that most of our soldiers suffer from one form of PTSD or the other. And people of like minds who were also retired like me gathered together and we said, let us do something about it. Though the government is doing, we can't leave everything in the hands of government. So we felt we should complement the efforts of the government and the armed forces of Nigeria. That's why we set up the foundation to take care of people who have gone to war and come back with different effects of war.
Okay, like I said, I said I was very sure that from the cockpit of Aggressor 08, Nigerian war in Sierra Leone was a personal experience.
It was.
And before we go into the symptoms of PTSD, I would like to know your own experience, one significant experience that you can never forget. And would you say you are a sufferer? You are a victim of PTSD? Is it victim?
Yes,
is it sufferer?
people are sufferers. Yes,
Okay.
they are sufferers.
Yeah.
Most people make a mistake and say it's only the army personnel that are exposed to trauma. No. There are experiences you may just be passing and then you see and it remains stuck in your memory. And some can be disturbing without you being physically part of it. But as a fighter pilot during the Sierra Leone wars, I witnessed a lot. And when I came back, I never knew I had PTSD until I saw other guys and I saw different symptoms. So my symptom, when I finally realized, was a sense of withdrawal. I became withdrawn to myself. I hardly mixed with people. Sometimes I just feel maybe I'm doing it intentionally to be able to concentrate on some issues, but then some friends pointed it out to me and said, why do you want to stay by yourself all the time? And going through the studies of people who have PTSD, withdrawal is definitely one of the signs. It's the early stage of depression. Yes, so that would be my...
Okay, before we go into the symptoms now, let's talk about you, let's dwell on your fight in Sierra Leone.
Yep.
Is there any significant incidents you remember, that you recall, that you cannot forget? And when we talk about trauma, I want to know the most traumatic experience for you so far that you keep recalling.
Yep, the most traumatic event, because there were so many. As a fighter pilot, you are sent on a task. It's just a task. You are given an assignment and you do it. The way and manner, that's our slogan. The way and manner you get it done, you have to get it done. So I've gone through so many, but then the one I will always remember most, in fact, in the book, I mentioned this particular one that I will always remember, was an attack on a river bank. There were some targets that were waiting to cross the river across into Freetown. And they were numbered like 200. And they were given the task, simple, make sure they don't cross. And that's all. And we went, and approaching the target, I actually saw the people and did what I'm supposed to do. And by the time I pull up and look down to see the results, we call it battle assessment damage, or battle damage assessment, to look down, I couldn't see a thing standing. Yes, like I said, you don't see targets as human beings. If you do, you will never do it. But then within yourself, you know what you have done. So that is one remarkable one that I will leave.
Because you're still a human being deep within.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So when we talk about trauma,
Yes.
because some people will be wondering how different is stress from trauma.
Yes, stress.
When you say traumatic event in a man's life, and a stressful event in a man's life.
Yeah, there are two different things, though people use them interchangeably. Stress is a normal thing that happens to everybody. As a journalist, when you are waiting on the producer, on the director to get yourself ready, you definitely get stressed up.
Yes, a little
but
bit
you
of
are not passing through any trauma.
Yeah.
Trauma is such an experience that is so vivid that you pass through and you thank God for escaping. It could be at the battlefront, it could be in an accident, it could be in a rape.
Yes.
Because it doesn't only happen to soldiers. Once you have passed through any violent experience, it's traumatic. So you need to...
Like we hear of people who suffer from this same PTSD, who were victims of rape, who were victims of child abuse, who maybe were victims of maybe witnessing a child witnessing, what's it called, a murder, for example.
Oh, yes.
We'll never forget that.
That's true.
Yeah.
So we have different forms, only that we at Green Heroes Foundation concentrate on the one affecting soldier, because a lot of people don't realize quickly that that man that you have sent to war is not the same person when he gets back. He's a changed person. He's gone through serious trauma, and his psychology has changed from the way he was before he left for war. So definitely before you bring him back into the society, you need to give him psychological
which the government is doing very well right now. Because we read about them taking this after war, after experiencing some certain maybe incidents at war, they take them back to, I don't, what do they call it, debriefing?
Yes, debriefing, psychological counseling. Yes, but personally, I feel we could do better than what we are doing now. Because as a pilot, when I was flying, every year you must meet a psychologist to ascertain your level of readiness for the nation to give you such an aircraft to go and fly. So when we meet this psychologist, the psychology interview is a one-on-one thing. It's not a classroom thing. So until we get there, that we give them a one-on-one interview and counseling, then I will say we are doing well.
I know they do a lot because I've read it in the papers and I've seen, you know, but I've seen where the soldiers are taken to and debriefed and counseled. But there's so much the government can do. These soldiers, like you said, have witnessed so much trauma. And this thing is something that is in them forever. Like you, I'm sure you did. You had the psychological counseling, but you still had the PTSD.
Yes, because it depends on how exposed you were.
Yeah.
If you send a soldier to war front, according to the UN guideline, it's 6 months. You should go there 6 months and come back.
Okay. Replace
him, let him refresh, and then he can go back. But if you keep him there for 2-3 years, he's more exposed to those dangers and traumas.
So what if there are less men now to fight the war? Because the war we are fighting now, sir, is different from the war you fought.
That's true.
It's different.
We never stayed.
Yes, this is terrorism.
It
and
is.
You have a horde of people enlisting as terrorists.
Yes.
And so you have less men on the government side fighting. So the government needs a lot more people, and sometimes I'm sure maybe they are pressurized to leave these people longer than 6 months on the warfare.
We shouldn't do it. There's a problem. If we have problem with manpower shortage, we should fix it. Because when you keep people for so long at the war front, it's what you get. About 2 weeks ago, a soldier shot 4 guys or 5 guys and killed himself. Yeah, they get frustrated, they get depressed, they get delusion, they have little value for life. After staying so long, they have become part of the problem.
Wow.
So the ideal, use them in combat, bring them back. Let them see their family, refreshing them. They will go back stronger. But when you use them, wear and tear on the human being, on the human body, it's so stressful that it can happen. And we have to be careful again in that. When you keep such people at that tempo for so long, they will become indisciplined.
Okay.
No, they will. They are missing their family. They are missing their home, their comfort for so long. At a point, you give an order and they will tell you, go to hell.
So let's go to the symptoms of PTSD. So what are the symptoms of PTSD?
Yes, they vary. Actually, the effect of war of soldiers after the wars, PTSD is just one of them. Depression is one of them. Flashbacks, nightmares, insomnia, anxiety, irritability. If I can give you anger and aggression, all these are the signs. Those inside the book, I trace, like I used to ask people, Army, Navy, Air Force, which one is more brutal to civilians? And I got the reply that a lot of people say the Army. Now, why did the Army become brutal? They were not born to be brutal to civilians. It's because of their past experience. The Nigerian Army was the first set of soldiers that would go to war. Then there was no Air Force, there was no Navy. And when they came back from such wars, and you have anger, you have anxiety, you have irritability, you have aggressiveness. So they came back and they felt, man, these guys are indisciplined. And in those days, we have the barracks far away from the town. But then when the town started growing and grew up to meet the barracks, interaction started. And soldiers, as you all know, are disciplined. We are orderly. So any civilian that comes through our pass and is not orderly or disciplined, he gets the beating. But gentlemen, it is the PTSD in them, which has turned them to bullies, that made them start beating civilians. Then you will see that it has come down. It does not regularly happen like before.
Yeah, we now have cases of people suffering from PTSD who may commit some heinous crimes, like against their own family. We have had cases of people who just eliminate a whole family and themselves because they have PTSD. What must a family do to identify a family member with PTSD, and how can he be helped?
It's a serious issue.
He or she, sorry.
Yes, it's a serious issue to our family because the effects of war affects everybody. War affects everybody. It affects the soldier himself. It affects the immediate family and affects the society. But the family is the first point of contact when this man returns. So there will be need, after counseling the guy, to also counsel the family, to let the wife and the children know that this guy is a different person. You have to relate with him, calmly. Take your time to get him back into the society. Because there were things he was doing before he left, and you expect him to still do the same thing, especially if he's disabled. Can't be of help any longer. So you must bear with him. And then the society now, because not much is known, unfortunately. But the symptoms, like I said, that we from the society must look at: withdrawal, depression, anger, aggressiveness. When you see that in soldiers, I'm not talking about civilians. Once you see that in soldiers, please find out if he had ever been to combat or not. If he has been to combat, he needs help. He needs help to get himself reoriented back into the civil society. If not, one day he will wake up and has that flashback and think he's back at the battleground.
We'll take a break now. When we come back, we have someone who has PTSD issues. He fought the Boko Haram war. He actually was there for 6 good years. You'll hear from him. A soldier, a real soldier. We'll be back. You're still on Break It Down, and we're discussing PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. I told you we will be bringing someone who fought the Boko Haram war, a soldier, someone who was on the field, on the war front for 6 good years. I have with me Lance Corporal Yohanna. Yohanna, you're welcome. Thank you. So tell me, you fought for 6 years, yes, without a break?
Which break? There is
with
nothing
break,
like
okay,
break.
You had break. Nothing like break?
Break is only when they give you pass for 2 weeks. And before they start to give the pass, it was when the things start to come down.
Okay.
Yes.
So tell me your experience fighting this war.
My experience about Boko Haram, I experienced a very deadly and bloody different types of attack and ambush. It's not 1 or 2, different types.
Can you recall one?
Yes, I can recall.
Significant one?
Yes. I can recall very deadly attack that we received in one place called Tunkushe. Yes, very deadly attack where we lost many men.
Tell me more about this experience.
One that I experienced, where they scare me till tomorrow. is the one that I saw in the Tunkushe, where we lost 175 soldiers, 23 officers within 3 hours. Yes.
So it was real.
Yes.
War.
That death is a very bloody. My best friend, one Yoruba man called Lukman, is from Kwara State. That guy sleeping near me over 2 days. I don't know, say na him. Because of bomb, those scatter him body. And me, I still dey look for him inside the trench, and the people, soldiers were flying bullet gates. No one say see and they near me. When would they search some of their pocket to trace ID card to know, so that when they will put their dead body and the rest, the idea of going to say see and they near me.
So we are talking about PTSD now. General is here, and you are under the Green Heroes Foundation.
Yes.
Post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm sure by now you know what it is. Is there any experience where you will feel recount, where really dey your mind, where you not fit forget ever?
There are many. There are many.
Tell me one, just one. I know it's difficult to bring it out, but just try, please. I know how hard it is, so I know how hard. Just.
What I will not forget is that upon the whole experience that I experienced in that bush, and the whole mind that we carry to fight for the government, to save life and property of the country, government still can't ignore us based on, say, the little problem we have with them. We are their children. They are the one that train us. And they say that when you slap your pikin with left hand, drag it with right hand. Now they slap us, they chase us out. They still exercise patience and look after their children. We are their children. Now they born us. Look, what is our problem? See how we are suffering up and down.
You are no longer in the army?
I'm no longer in the job.
What happened? What did they say you did?
We just two fighting.
Okay, just two fighting?
Yes.
And you were dismissed?
Yes, I'm no longer in the job anymore.
You want to go back?
I want to go back even now. Even now. If government can help me, I want to go back now. If they
just
can be
two
able to help
fighting.
me.
I mean, I know the army is a very disciplined institution, but dire situations call for dire solutions. With the army now looking for more men to fight battle, and we have people like Yohanna here who wants to go back.
We have not gotten into investigating properly what transpired.
Yeah.
But the foundation is trying, we are talking with some people in authority to see, especially now that we need some more people. These guys are trained, they already have the skill. Yeah, we could punish them and then reuse them.
You've talked about war. You don't know who will come back. You don't know who will go.
Yes, yes.
You don't care. You still want to be part of that.
Definitely, we don't already zero man do everything about the job. So every time we don't already know, since every mortal bill is liable to die. Well, when your time reach, because some start the work for 35 years, they never die. Well, some, even if they sleep for bed, you go die. That's what I believe. Upon the whole experience I get for that place, if I never die, I believe, say, if I die, anyhow, my time don't reach.
You're still on Break It Down, and on the show today we discussed PTSD. We have General here, Air Commodore Abayomi Balogun of the Green Heroes Foundation, and Yohanna Ujulu, a gallant soldier who fought the Boko Haram war. We'll be back again same time next week. Stay tuned.